Imagine a game of chess where two brilliant minds clash, one a genius physicist, the other a brilliant, albeit somewhat unconventional, thinker. On one side, Albert Einstein, the father of modern physics, whose mind reshaped our understanding of the universe. On the other, Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, a man known for his intense intellect and complex character. What would it look like if these two giants of science and thought faced off on the chessboard? Well, in 1924, this very game unfolded. Einstein, the great scientist, sat across from Oppenheimer, the brilliant theorist, in a battle of strategy and wit. This wasn't just a game of chess. It was a contest between two of the 20th century's greatest minds, both of whom had shaped the world in their own ways. In today's video, we're going to take you through this fascinating historical encounter, where Einstein opens with pawn to e4, and Oppenheimer answers with pawn to e5. What unfolds next is a game that will keep you on the edge of your seat, full of sharp tactics, surprising sacrifices, and brilliant moves. Einstein develops his knight to f3, attacking Oppenheimer's e5 pawn and starting to prepare for further central control. This is a developmentally sound move, putting pressure on Oppenheimer's center, while also preparing to control more key squares. Oppenheimer responds with knight to c6, solidifying his grip on the center and indirectly defending the e5 pawn. This move is typical of a solid yet flexible approach, positioning the knight to control d4 and e5 while keeping options open for future development. Einstein plays bishop to b5, entering the Ruy Lopez opening. This is a well-known, highly respected opening that puts immediate pressure on Oppenheimer's knight on c6 and hints at a long-term strategy to undermine Black's position. By pinning the knight on c6, Einstein looks to eventually force Oppenheimer to weaken his pawn structure, which could give Einstein a significant advantage in the long run. Oppenheimer, not backing down, plays pawn to a6, forcing the bishop on b5 to either retreat or capture. This move not only prevents Einstein from creating immediate threats on the c6 knight, but it also prepares for a possible expansion on the queen side. Oppenheimer is looking to establish a strong, secure position, but it's clear that Einstein is testing his opponent's defenses early on. Einstein retreats his bishop to a4, keeping the pressure on Oppenheimer's position and maintaining the pin on the knight on c6. This move keeps up the pressure while also keeping his own king side safe, developing his bishop in an efficient and threatening way. Oppenheimer pushes pawn to b5, attacking Einstein's bishop and gaining space on the queen side. This aggressive move forces Einstein to make a decision about his bishop while expanding Black's territory. Einstein retreats his bishop to b3, maintaining its influence on the center and keeping pressure on the f7 square. The bishop is well placed here, eyeing the sensitive f7 pawn near Oppenheimer's king. Oppenheimer develops his knight to f6, attacking Einstein's e4 pawn and preparing to castle kingside. This is a standard developing move that helps to prepare Oppenheimer's position for the middle game. His knight on f6 will also add more control over key central squares and give him a more solid position. Einstein castles kingside, bringing his king to safety and connecting his rooks. Castling is a typical move to complete development and prepare for the middle game. Einstein's position is now solid, and he has the ability to bring his rooks into the game quickly. Oppenheimer strikes boldly with knight takes e4, capturing Einstein's central pawn. This is an aggressive move that challenges Einstein's setup and grabs material. Oppenheimer is willing to take risks to seize the initiative. Einstein responds immediately with rook to e1, attacking the knight on e4 and forcing Oppenheimer to deal with the threat. The rook springs into action, putting pressure on the exposed knight. Oppenheimer plays pawn to d5, supporting his knight on e4 and establishing a strong central presence. This move reinforces Black's position and prevents the knight from being easily driven away. Einstein plays pawn to a4, attacking Oppenheimer's b5 pawn and creating queenside pressure. Einstein is looking to undermine Black's pawn chain and create weaknesses. Oppenheimer advances pawn to b4, maintaining his pawn on the queen side and preventing Einstein from easily expanding there. This move locks up the queenside structure and gives Black a space advantage on that side of the board. Einstein plays pawn to d3, attacking the knight on e4 and forcing it to move. This central advance helps Einstein reclaim some central space while developing his position. Oppenheimer relocates his knight to c5, moving it to a strong outpost where it attacks the bishop on b3. The knight is actively placed and threatens to capture Einstein's important bishop. Einstein strikes with knight takes e5, capturing Black's central pawn. This tactical blow removes a key defender and threatens to create havoc in Oppenheimer's position. Oppenheimer responds with knight to e7, developing his last minor piece and preparing to consolidate his position. The knight heads toward the center and can help defend the king. Einstein brings his queen to f3, centralizing it with multiple threats. The queen eyes both the king side and puts pressure on Oppenheimer's position from an active square. Oppenheimer plays pawn to f6, attacking Einstein's knight on e5 and forcing it to retreat or be captured. This move also helps control the center, though it does weaken Black's king position slightly. Einstein launches queen to h5 check. This powerful move puts Oppenheimer's king in immediate danger and forces a response. The check is aggressive and starts a direct attack on the exposed king. Oppenheimer blocks with pawn to g6, stopping the check but creating weaknesses around his king. The pawn structure is now compromised, giving Einstein potential targets to exploit. Einstein sacrifices his knight. With knight takes g6, this brilliant tactical blow destroys Black's pawn shelter. Material is given up for a devastating attack on the exposed king. Oppenheimer must recapture with h-pawn takes g6, but this opens up the h-file and leaves the king dangerously exposed. Black's king's safety has been severely compromised. Einstein capitalizes immediately with queen takes h8, capturing the rook in the corner. The queen has infiltrated deep into Black's position and won material. This aggressive continuation shows Einstein pressing his advantage. Oppenheimer counterattacks with knight takes b3, capturing Einstein's bishop. Black tries to grab material in return and create some counterplay, even as his king remains vulnerable. Einstein recaptures with c-pawn takes b3, maintaining material balance, but keeping the dangerous queen deep in enemy territory. The pawn structure has changed, but Einstein's attack continues. Oppenheimer brings his queen to d6, centralizing it and trying to coordinate a defense. The queen comes into play, but Black's position remains difficult with the exposed king. Einstein plays bishop to h6, attacking the bishop on f8 and further weakening Black's defensive structure. The bishop adds another attacker to the kingside assault. Oppenheimer moves his king to d7, trying to escape the danger zone. The king actively walks away from the vulnerable kingside, though this exposes it in the center. Einstein captures with bishop, takes f8, winning Black's bishop. This removes another defender and simplifies into a winning position for white. Oppenheimer develops his bishop to b7, finally getting this piece into play and preparing to defend or create counterplay. The bishop aims at Einstein's position, but Black is still under severe pressure. Einstein advances queen to g7, threatening checkmate and attacking multiple targets. The queen is devastatingly placed, dominating the board and eyeing the exposed king. Oppenheimer plays rook to e8, activating his rook and trying to generate counterplay. The rook comes to an active file, but Einstein's attack is overwhelming. Einstein brings his knight to d2, repositioning it for better placement. The knight heads toward better squares where it can support the attack or defend as needed. Oppenheimer pushes pawn to c5, trying to create space and counterplay on the queen side. Black desperately seeks activity to compensate for the difficult position. Einstein plays rook to a1 to d1, bringing his last inactive piece into the game. The rook swings to the open file, adding to white's coordination. Oppenheimer advances pawn to a5, continuing to push on the queen side. Black tries to create threats, but Einstein's pieces are too well coordinated. Einstein maneuvers knight to c4, attacking the queen on d6 and centralizing the knight. That sees powerfully. The knight forks multiple targets and forces Oppenheimer into a difficult decision. Oppenheimer captures with d-pawn takes c4, eliminating the threatening knight. Black removes the immediate threat, but the position remains critical. Einstein recaptures with d-pawn takes c4, maintaining central control and keeping the pressure on. Oppenheimer desperately plays queen takes d1 check, sacrificing the queen for a rook, but giving check in the process. This is a last-ditch attempt to create complications. Einstein recaptures with rook takes d1 check, winning the queen and giving check himself. The rook dominates the position and puts Black's king in danger once again. Oppenheimer's king retreats to c8, escaping the check but running out of options. Einstein delivers the final blow with bishop takes e7, winning the knight. Faced with overwhelming material disadvantage and a hopeless position, Oppenheimer resigns. Einstein wins the game. What an incredible display of strategy, tactical brilliance, and sacrificial chess. Einstein made several bold sacrifices, creating chaos in Oppenheimer's position while keeping the attack relentless. Even though Oppenheimer had strong defenses, Einstein's deep understanding of chess, combined with his remarkable attacking intuition, secured him an overwhelming victory. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you sacrifice all your pieces for such a brilliant attack? Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more historical chess games that have shaped the world.